Performics UK office, and today I'm going to talk about a training session we ran recently on local and mobile search. So when it comes to local search, if you think about the Google SERP and how much it has changed in recent times, what used to be simply going to Google, typing in a query, and seeing your list of 10 results has become much more local and geo-targeted. And what I mean by that is Google has gotten to the point now where instead of just showing you a search result for, say, pizza, and maybe giving you the history of pizza and a variety of other websites related to pizza, instead Google is figuring out, oh, you know what, based on this person's IP address and a bunch of other factors, hey, they're in the London area, so why don't we display a list of local pizza restaurants in London, as well as reviews and all sorts of related information that can help that visitor find, you know, a pizza place down the street, instead of just a listing from, say, Wikipedia about the history of pizza. So here at Performics, our approach with local search is really sort of a three-pronged effort that deals with a variety of factors. So if you look at the first approach, first phase I guess you would call it, it's establishing. So what that is really optimizing your website for local content. So if you are a retail store and you have a variety of brick and mortar locations throughout a city or across the country or whatever it may be, you want to make sure that you have individual landing pages for those stores that are optimized on your website. Another phase would be what we call multiply. So what that is taking all this data that you've got. If you think about it, if you have thousands of stores, you're going to have addresses and phone numbers and hours and all sorts of information. So it's really taking all that information and putting it into, say, a data feed where everything is where it should be, as far as, you know, a street is a street and not an avenue, as well as you want to make sure that your hours are right and any other sort of relevant information to your business. And the third area that we look at is amplify. So once you have all this great data, this is your chance to push it out to the rest of the local ecosystem, basically. And by pushing that information out, there are plenty of third-party directories, say Yelp being one of them, that will pick up this information and make sure that when a user goes to this directory that they are given the correct name of your business and the address and the phone number, as well as hours and any reviews that are related to the business. You want to make sure that this information is pretty steady across the whole ecosystem. We also touched on some website hurdles when it comes to local, and you know, I kind of touched on these earlier. As far as really just having the right data about your brand or your product or service, as far as if a user comes to your website and they're looking for a particular location's hours, you want to make sure that those hours are correct and that it's easy for the user to find these hours. And for search engines as well, you want to make sure that these pages are optimized properly so that, say, a search engine comes to your website to index your great copy, and if you only have, let's say it's a location, one location page with 1,000 locations on it, and maybe it's some sort of form that needs to be filled out or a button that needs to be pressed, it's possible that a search engine won't be able to access all this great location information. So it's really important to really make sure that your website is optimized appropriately for all this great local content that you have to offer. We also talked about some off-site local recommendations when it comes to SEO, and the biggest one is just making sure that you have your Google Places and Bing Local listings verified. This is really easy to do. You can go to Webmaster Tools for each of these search engines and just make sure that if you have a bunch of local stores, that each store has its own page and that page has been verified. And along with that, you want to also make sure that those pages are optimized appropriately for search engines and for users. As for mobile search, so we first started our training on mobile with a bunch of facts. So, by 2013, for example, more people are going to use phones than PCs to get online, which if you go to any city or town, big or small, I mean, that's not really a big secret. You can see everybody on their mobile devices. We really live in a new what's next type world where people want their information right away. I myself am guilty of going to use my mobile device, and if it's slow, even for a few seconds, you say, hey, what's wrong with this thing? So we have unfortunately gotten kind of spoiled, but this day and age, you can do so much with a device that can fit in your hand. So it's really impressive. One other fact that we sort of threw out there is about 4 out of 5 large online companies don't have mobile sites. Now you may say, oh, what do you mean by that? Every website that I've tried to pull up on my iPhone or on my smartphone, I've always been able to pull them up. Well, there's a difference here because you could have, for example, you could be a retail site, and if you haven't used the right design for your website and really optimized your website for local, what's going to be shown on these smaller devices is your desktop site. And what happens when that's the case is sometimes the desktop site will basically be squished into whatever device the user is using, and that of course leads to a really poor user experience, and you're likely to lose that user to another website. So with mobile SEO, what we really touched on with this is that surprisingly mobile SEO doesn't really exist anymore. And what I mean by that is really up to about 2007, Google had its own index for mobile websites. Now you see the M.dot websites or the .mobi websites. Those are still in existence today, but once 2007 hit and there was really an explosion in the handheld device market, especially with smartphones, all of a sudden there were these devices that were being put out to market that these devices could basically render what was being seen on the desktop site. So now you go to your favorite retail site on the desktop, and then you go to that same site on your mobile device, whatever that may be, especially your tablet, for example, and chances are you're going to see the same content because these devices are able to render. So there are two approaches when it comes to mobile as far as having a website, and it's really depends on the status of your website being the desktop site. So the first approach is where you could have same URL, and basically what that is so through the use of what they're calling responsive design, it's a tactic using CSS. You can actually just focus your efforts on your desktop site, and through the use of responsive design, when somebody uses their mobile device to access your website, they're displayed similar content to what you're showing on your desktop site. So the advantage to this, of course, is instead of having a separate desktop site and mobile site, you just focus your efforts on your desktop site and then leave the rest to design and the architecture and how you've set up your website. Hopefully you've set it up appropriately. And then there's the second approach, which is the standalone mobile site, which is the old school mobile site. And really, if you have the bandwidth to do it, you just want to make sure that in most cases, if you're going to tackle a mobile site, that you would want to have somewhat of unique content on there, because there really is no need to have both if you want to show similar content on your mobile site. And also, we touched on a mobile site audit, the first of its kind here at Performics, that we recently unveiled for clients. And what the mobile site audit does is it's really a 30-plus point or checkpoint audit that will take a look at your mobile site, and it will look at really 3 different areas. The technical architecture being one, design is another area, and then we also look at conversion and how is your mobile website set up, and is it set up appropriately so that when a user goes to it, they can figure out quickly what they need to do to whether purchase a product or find out more information or whatever it may be. So thanks again for listening today. My name is Jonah Berger again, and I'm with Performics UK. Have a great day.